be acquired for this purpose. Under the agreement, the parties will also split all the closing costs equally. Just also related to this, back in 2017, the city also granted a license agreement, a non-exclusive license agreement to Florida Southern College for them to also use these parcels for events at Henley Field. Florida Southern has been notified and is fully aware of what's going on with this transaction, and has actually been working out an agreement with the school board that's going to involve some improvements to that area, as well as Florida Southern's continued use of that property for events at Henley Field. So we are recommending approval of the sale to the school board of the affected parcels for a purchase price of $146,000, and we'll stand for any questions.
Sure, thank you, Palmer. Are there any, Commissioner Walker, you have a question?
Not a question, but a statement, if I could, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and also make a motion to approve the transaction. But especially so, many of us who grew up in that community, have seen that property, and how it just laid dormant, and of course, some challenges even on the property when you're trying to park or even drive across it because of the topography of the other property. So to see someone come in and to play now, I'm sure to improve that property for parking and support that way, that's going to even add not only value, but also help support both two entities, school board as well as Florida Southern College. So again, I make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? I have a second from Commissioner Franklin. They're going to have I see Bob's on the line with us. Are there going to be obligations to do any landscaping or fencing of that to secure that property? Any can't hear you, Bob. There you go. We should be on now.
Am I good now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, my understanding is the school board has already had a conversation with Florida Southern College. Florida Southern College's part, and even though they're not paying for the lot, they are going to make aesthetic improvements to the lot, hedges, fencing that borders North Florida Avenue to try to dress it up. Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those that on the committee wish to accept the proposal, please raise your hand. Pass unanimously. Our second order of business is a fourth amendment to the lease agreement with Pods Enterprise LLC.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Ramona Siriani for the City Attorney's Office. This is a fourth amendment to an existing lease that we have with Pods Enterprises LLC. This is to readjust an initial term to extend it for one additional 5-year renewal period, or one additional 5-year period and it also includes one additional 5-year renewal period as well. The commencement date of the lease upon approval by the commission would be December 1st, 2020. During the first year of the initial 5-year term, annual base rent will be $100,000, which equates to $3.70 per square foot. Thereafter, base rent is adjusted annually in the amount of $5,500 for the remaining 4 years of the initial term, as well as any subsequent renewal options. If exercised, and all the other terms and conditions of the lease will remain in full force and effect. So the only real substantive change is just to modify the lease term to extend it out, as well as provide for the increases in rent.
Thank you. Do I hear any questions from our commissioners on the committee? Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Commissioner Franklin, and a second from Commissioner Walker. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It passed unanimously. Last order of business will be Second amendment for lease agreement between International Aero Academy Limited.
Yes, sir. This second lease amendment serves to restructure the existing lease provisions. I think you're aware International Aero is one of our larger flight schools out at the airport, and they've had to deal with reduced enrollment of students, domestic and foreign students, due to COVID. And in order to work with them, airport staff has taken a look at the lease, and this specific amendment will provide a lease term of 5 years that will have a retroactive commencement date of November 1st, 2020, and will contain 3 additional 5-year renewal terms upon mutual agreement of the parties. The monthly base rent for the first 2 years of the lease term is $16,808.83, or $8.63 per square foot. And then in 2022, that gets adjusted annually based on a change in the CPI, not to exceed 3% in any year. The second amendment will also, in terms of restructuring some of the lease provisions to provide some relief to the tenant, International Aero's current rent deposit will be applied to any past due rent to assist them in bringing them current on their obligations. And in addition, the airport has worked with this particular tenant to defer 50% of their rent payment for the months of August and September. That total is $16,808.83. However, International Aero will be obligated to pay that rent deferral over an 18-month period in equal installments. Those payments would commence December 1st, 2020, and they would be responsible as well for any taxes that were in addition to rent that was due. All the other terms and conditions of the existing lease will remain in full force and effect.
Thank you, Ramona. Are they be obligated to reimburse or build their deposit back up? Is that what that 18 month is that fee is, or that's just to defer the?
What they're doing is we're taking the existing security deposit or rent deposit, and we're applying that to the previous, like any rent that is due and owing. There is not a provision in the lease to request that to be reapplied.
Okay. Commissioner Walker.
Motion to approve.
Do I see a second? I have a second by Commissioner Franklin. All those approved. Commissioner Franklin has a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a question. Gene, what was the current rent rate before this adjustment that they're seeking?
Well, actually, the adjustment isn't that much. I want to say it was about $17,600 a month is what they're at. I don't know if Ramona remembers, but it's not that far off of what they're currently paying. So the adjustment really isn't, we're not taking that much off for them. And that $863 per square foot is also the blended rate for all of their office space and their hangar space. So it's obviously more for the office and less for the hangar, but we're really not giving them that much relief at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Mr. Conrad's correct. I think that amount was around $17,000.
Okay, well, that's okay. My only concern would have been that we're taking the COVID event that was basically been the last 8 months, and we're going to make a change for the next 15 years based off of it, but at least it's not a significant increase we're talking about, I guess.
Well, and if I could say just one thing in regards to International Aero specifically, the majority of their students prior to COVID-19 or any of the COVID stuff we've been dealing with, they were hit pretty hard. Referenced their international student visas and all the stuff that was coming down from U.S. Customs and from the federal government. So they had taken a hit actually a year and a half, if not 2 years prior to COVID, with all of the immigration issues and the people coming in and coming out that the federal government was applying to these flight students. So they've been struggling quite a bit even pre-COVID due to other factors.
Okay, well, that's obviously we want to do everything we can to help them succeed, but I'm glad to know that it's more than just a COVID thing, because we're giving them 5 years and then all these extensions for the next 15 years.
It is definitely more than just COVID.
Commissioner Franklin, do you still have your second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Passed unanimously. I will adjourn our meeting at 8:12 p.m. today. Thank you.
You
Are
mean
we
at
going to stay
2:13
on the
p.m.
commission meeting or just really banned for a while?
So we can get off and come back on for the 3 o'clock meeting. Well, actually, the meeting's in person. So we'll see you in the commissioner room.